You are standing in the shower, soaping up your hair, when the absolute perfect comeback for an argument you had 3 hours ago finally surfaces. You play the whole scene out in your head, exactly how it should have gone. If you find yourself doing this often, you aren't alone. This chart shows a typical day, and it reveals that humans spend roughly 30% of their waking lives entirely disconnected from whatever is happening right in front of them. These areas show the brain's idle circuit, or default mode network. Like a computer's background processes, it automatically kicks in when you stop focusing. Even while zoning out, this circuit works incredibly hard, sorting through memories, analyzing relationships, and predicting tomorrow. Looking at the data, it's clear that daydreaming isn't a glitch. Your mind is using a built-in flight simulator, a safe space to practice for the challenges of your actual life. We use this simulator for all sorts of mental rehearsals. Before a big job interview or a difficult conversation with a friend, your mind walks through every version of how it might go. This practice helps you anticipate obstacles and find the right words. By running the what-if scenarios in your head first, you burn off some of the anxiety before you ever walk into the room. These scenarios also act as an emotional sandbox. If someone makes you angry, your imagination allows you to vent that frustration and process the feeling without any real-world consequences. This type of everyday daydreaming is a necessary tool. A healthy mind relies on these brief escapes to navigate a complex world of feelings and social rules. Imagination exists on a spectrum. On one side are the helpful passing thoughts we all have. On the other side are these dense, multi-layered webs of fantasy that can consume hours of a person's day. When that fantasy world starts overriding your actual life, it becomes maladaptive daydreaming. It's like a protective shield that has grown so heavy you can no longer see the real world through it. Someone in this state might pace a floor for hours while listening to music, totally absorbed in intricate storylines. These daydreams often have their own cast of characters and evolving plots, much like directing a long-running television show in your head. This behavior usually begins as a way to cope with deep loneliness, stress, or past trauma. The brain builds an internal sanctuary that feels much safer and more rewarding than the person's actual reality. A vivid imagination is a gift, but here it has turned into an emotional escape hatch. Relying on it too often can trap someone in a cycle where they avoid their life instead of living it. It is important to distinguish this from other conditions. This diagram shows a solid barrier on the daydreaming side. These individuals know their fantasies are fictional. Dissociation is different, a passive mechanism, like pulling the curtains into a numb, foggy state. Daydreaming, however, is a highly active, awake mind building an engaging story. Making these distinctions is the only way to find the right support. If we misidentify why the brain is retreating, we end up using the wrong tools to bring it back. When the urge to daydream feels as compulsive as an addiction, the path back to reality can seem impossible. One strategy is called surfing the urge. Rather than fighting the desire, which often makes it stronger, you simply observe it. You treat the urge like a wave, watching it peak and eventually wash away without giving into it. You can also use a physical tool called grounding. Think of it like dropping a heavy anchor to pull your attention out of the clouds and back to the floor beneath your feet. This diagram shows the 5 senses exercise. You look around and named 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. These steps force your brain to acknowledge your actual environment. They don't erase your imagination. They just re-anchor your mind so you can take action in the real world. Managing this behavior isn't about destroying your inner storyteller or losing your creativity. A vivid imagination is a powerful engine. Using these tools just means you are finally sitting in the driver's seat, steering that energy toward your goals rather than letting it run wild. You can still enjoy your rich inner worlds. You just ensure that when you're finished dreaming, you remain the main character of your actual life.